I didn't eat, didn't want to drive on the weather, I guess. And it was, at work, she was a plane master. Okay. And then Piper was fine. She had something there. So it was just awesome. I heard she went out to medicine, but okay. I know there was one college that wanted her profile asking that asked the students too, and the students that I think I heard schedule, but college was it, I don't know that it was necessarily. I know there was the one in reserve. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, exactly. Right. The CD had sent her schedule and everything too, but this same one that they told me. So that one would be around. But yeah, now I don't know. Maybe I should tell them not to. I don't know. That's all. Yeah. And I still ain't going. She's like, she can drive down. She'll drive down if she wants to. Because the one time she was very strong.
All right, good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Darren Erickson. I'm the principal here at Pleasant Valley High School. Here as well are Miss Ellie Thomas and Miss Ellie Curtis, two of our guidance counselors, to help with our Q&A at the end of the night. So I can't really see a show of hands, but I'm guessing that there are several of you who were here about 3 years ago for the incoming freshman night. And Mr. Zimmer giving this presentation, because I was as well. I have a senior this year, and thinking back, and I remember at all of those presentations, as he likes to say, get ready, hang on, because this will be the fastest 4 years you can ever think of. And I know, again, having a senior right now, all I can think of is, oh my gosh, where did it go? So I'm wondering, or I'm betting many of you kind of feel the same way. So I know this is for incoming seniors next year. We're going to begin tonight with just a short video, about a 10-minute video, talking about and setting the stage for the content for tonight. Not only, a lot of people when they get to this stage of high school, the thought going through everyone's head is college. But what we want to make sure that our focus here at the high school, college is a big part and what a lot of kids are leading towards. But our big focus here is on transition in college and career readiness and what your kids really need to be successful. So we're going to begin with a short video here, then we'll head to the presentation after that. Thank you.
There is a widespread belief that the job market is just waiting for hordes of ambitious, eager young graduates to slide into high-paying jobs in the corner office. They just need to go to college, right? Well, the data tells a different story. Charts like this imply a correlation between higher income and additional education, showing on average that a person with a university degree earns far more money than the average person without a high school diploma. This reliance on averages and perceived higher earnings for having a four-year degree has fueled a college-for-all philosophy, causing educators and parents to encourage going to the university, any university, to major in anything in pursuit of social mobility and financial prosperity. This belief has increased college and university enrollment to an all-time high, resulting in 66% of high school graduates in this country enrolling in higher education right after high school. That's 2 out of 3. The problem isn't that we need more students to attend college. The problem is too many students who enter are not completing. For most college students, it takes too long and they simply lose interest. Others are juggling too much, or they discovered they picked the wrong major or attended the wrong institution for them. Since most students are told a university degree guarantees a higher salary, many delay their career planning until after college graduation, resulting in 62% of students reporting they feel disengaged because they don't see the connection between their coursework and the future career. And so today, only a quarter of those that initially enroll will finish a bachelor's degree. You see, our educational system is very well intentioned, but incredibly misaligned. The pendulum has swung too far towards college preparation at any cost and away from skill attainment. We even encourage a college-going culture as early as elementary school, with university pennants decorating second-grade classrooms, and we spend an exorbitant amount of time in high school getting into college. Education is core to our economy, but in order to guide our educational systems and maximize future income, we must understand this misalignment between education and our workforce. At some point in recent history, we have transitioned from asking the more important question of what knowledge and skills do you need to be employable and to contribute to your community, to now simply asking, where are you going to college? When in reality, not every degree is direct preparation for employment. With rising education costs, a shrinking job market, and the oversaturation of some academic majors in the workforce, graduates take positions that do not require the education they have received, and often with debt they cannot afford. In fact, this misalignment between degrees and job skills causes half of university graduates to be underemployed in what are called gray-collar jobs, and 33% of college graduates are still underemployed well into their 30s. We know that success in today's world depends on aligning students' academics with both their skills and available job opportunities. Yet there is growing evidence of a skills gap in which many Americans are not receiving the essential skills that are needed. Recently, a survey was conducted to find out if the skills found within the local workforce match the skills that employers need in the new economy. We found that employers experience difficulty finding applicants with strong technical skills, as well as problem-solving skills, applied math skills, and basic technical training. Unlike 3 generations ago, having hands-on skills and perfecting what you're good at can be more valuable in today's economy than getting a degree in something simply to get one. In fact, when hiring, business leaders say a candidate's knowledge and applied skills in a specific field are more important factors than where the candidate went to school or their college major. The economy and the world have dramatically changed. In 1960, when taking into account all jobs in the American economy, 20% required a 4-year degree or higher, 20% were technical jobs requiring skilled training, and 60% were classified as unskilled. But what's the right percentage to meet the labor market demand for tomorrow? Georgetown University predicts only 33% of all jobs will require a 4-year degree or more in the future, while the overwhelming majority will be highly skilled jobs requiring professional and technical training at the credential or associate's degree level. The true ratio of jobs in our economy is 1 to 7. For every occupation that requires a master's degree or more, approximately 2 professional jobs require a university degree, and there are over half a dozen jobs requiring a 1-year certificate or 2-year degree. And each of these technicians are in very high-skilled areas that are in great demand. So while most jobs in the future will require some education and training beyond high school, the majority of occupations will not require a bachelor's degree or more. It was the same in 1960, the same in 2000, and will be the same in 2040. Very well intentioned, the recent college for all rhetoric is often misinterpreted as university for all. This message needs to be significantly broadened to a post-high school credential for all. Students at various educational levels have left school without essential skills, setting up our children for failure, costing them and taxpayers millions, all while the labor market is desperate for highly trained, skilled technicians. One of the essential purposes of education should be to help students develop the knowledge and skills needed to search for and obtain work that they find satisfying. Fortunately, today's students no longer need to decide between higher education or career preparation. It's possible and increasingly necessary to achieve both. So how do you position yourself for satisfying in-demand jobs? Let's say you were considering a career as either an electrician or a business manager. You would find that the average annual income for electricians is $53,000, only about half of the $99,000 average wage for management occupations. So at first glance, it looks as if getting a bachelor's degree in business is a no-brainer. But adding skills and ability into the picture adds a whole new dynamic. What if you have the potential to become an excellent electrician, but lack the skills and ability to be an excellent manager? Then you should be looking at projected incomes towards the bottom of the pay scale for managers and towards the top for electricians. You would then discover that electricians near the top of the pay scale make around $90,000, far higher than the income of a manager near the bottom of the pay scale at $44,000. Now, this is just one example, but the concept is true throughout all industries. The claim that you will make more money with an increased amount of education is not necessarily inaccurate, it's just incomplete. That advice is based just on the averages, but no one is perfectly average. Everyone has unique skills, talents, and gifts. Truth is, the income for the top individuals in a wide variety of technical jobs is far higher than the average income for occupations requiring a 4-year degree. Nationally, associate degree earners range between $29,000 and $76,000. While bachelor's recipients earn between $37,000 and $102,000. But this data only accounts for the 25th percentile to the 75th percentile of full-time adult workers. This means 25% of associate degree holders earn more than $76,000 annually, while 25% of bachelor's degree holders earn less than $37,000. Our world has changed, and the university degree is no longer the guaranteed path towards financial success as it was for previous generations. And even if you do earn one, that education alone may not be enough. In today's highly technical, knowledge-based economy, employers want to know what you can do, and what you can do well, not just what degree hangs on your wall. And new and emerging occupations in every industry now require a combination of academic knowledge and technical ability. One without the other is insufficient. We need to ensure we're providing students with all the essential skills required to be competitive upon graduation. So before enrolling in classes or deciding what you're going to do next in your life, step 1 is self-exploration. Take multiple assessments and really analyze your talents and strengths. Step 2 is career exploration. Understand the jobs available, the income ranges they pay, and evaluate both the knowledge and skills they require. After researching all the possibilities, then engage in career planning by setting a flexible career goal based on your personality and abilities and not just your interests. This doesn't have to be what you want to do for the rest of your life, just set a goal of what you want to do first. Only then can you develop a skills-based education plan, including your tentative career goal with multiple education and training options, both inside and outside the classroom. This could include community college, military service, a university, volunteering, registered apprenticeship programs, industry certifications, or gaining work experience. There are multiple paths to success. This is especially true if you're entrepreneurial. 77% of students want to be their own boss, and creating good jobs while rebuilding America's middle class hinges on the success of small businesses and startups. The new secret to success is to create ample opportunities to explore and hone one's skills and to choose an initial career aligned with who you are. This alignment will help ensure one's position at the top of each pay scale. For the sake of our students, our families, and our country, we can't afford to get this wrong any longer. The time has come to redefine the goal for our students. Is the goal simply graduation or degree attainment? Or is the ultimate goal a relevant education to secure a well-paying career where they are both fulfilled and competitive in today's fierce job market? To ultimately secure a competitive advantage in the new economy, all students need a rigorous general education combined with applied technical skills, industry-recognized certifications, and specific preparation for employment. Will they be ready?
So every time I watch that and we try to put new variations of it and everything, it brings me back, and I won't wax too long on my specific journey, but it's very personal to me because I ended up going and got my first bachelor's degree in English. Looking back, my question is, why did you get a degree in English? Well, I like English. I love reading. That was my answer. So after getting my 4-year degree, what do you do with a BA in English? You become a salesman for Coca-Cola for about 1.5 years in Peoria. And about a year into it, realizing, I don't want to be a salesman for Coca-Cola. You know what I'd really like to do is get into education. Oh, I've got all of my English classes, I've got everything. I don't have any education classes. And so that brings me back to college for another 1.5 years. And so I got to spend the time and money for 5.5 years at a university to get my 4-year degree in the field that I wanted, and the student loans and everything that went with it. And so looking back, and again, I wouldn't trade all of the journey and the experiences and all of that, but I also know that by starting college and doing what I did, it took me longer to get to the path that I really wanted to go on. And the problem was, I never really thought about where is my journey going to take me. And so, in looking at that post-secondary planning, back to like where we're at with PV, we've got a great school, we've got great kids, great families with great education. And if you look at our data, our graduation rates is actually a little above 97%, and about 77% of our graduates report to enroll in a post-secondary program. But what we find of those, about another 10% of those, between when they report this in May and between from there to August, we lose about another 10% of kids who don't even end up starting these programs. And then of the kids who start their post-secondary degree, only about 60% of them end up completing the degree that they were intending within 6 years of graduation. And so while compared to nationally and statewide and everything, our numbers are good, we're thinking we've got a lot of kids who go off to college and don't finish. They don't end up going to where they thought that they were going. And so what we really want to do is make sure that we're helping get everybody started on the path that they truly want to be on, that's focused on their goals and what they want to accomplish. I think you saw in that video, I talked about from 1960 up until today, the 1-2-7, the 7 jobs that take an associate's degree or less, 2 that take a 4-year degree, to 1 that takes a master's or beyond. We compared that to the Iowa job projections right there. If you look at the Iowa job projections for 2025, and it almost fits the 1-2-7 to a T. Looking at the top, if you combine the 32 and 39% of jobs requiring a high school diploma, certification, or associate's degree, you get 71%. 21% require a bachelor's, 8% require a graduate degree. So again, that 1-2-7 has been pretty consistent for a long time, and is projected to stay that way. There you go. This is just kind of an overview of a college degree, because a lot of people, you'll hear associates or bachelors, or they'll call 2-year, 4-year degrees and all of that. So just kind of quickly, an associate's degree typically takes about 2 years or 4 semesters of being a full-time student. And what an associate's degree typically is, it's the basic technical and academic knowledge, it's more of you'll hear a lot of time people refer to it as getting their gen ed, their general education requirements out of the way. It may have some classes specific to a field, but it's more kind of just establishing a foundation for your next level, unless you're taking like a certificate program or something that is very specific. It's usually about 60 to 70 credit hours, and you can get that at any of your community colleges, or you can typically get an associate's degree at a college or university. A bachelor's degree is what people typically refer to as the four-year degree. Those are the next step after the associate's degree. And from there, that's where you move into more of a specialized into what your major is and take courses that are more specific to what your major is. So, seniors or soon-to-be seniors, what's your next step? We're going to focus, or you'll hear this a lot tonight. The key takeaway is explore your options and make decisions based on what you want to do, what are in your best interests. This is probably a little bit of an oversimplification. The region schools are referring to Iowa State, Iowa, and UNI. Those are the three colleges in which pretty significant portions of our graduates go. Typically, as kids start college there, it's about $350 per credit hour. And then most students choose to live on campus. So if you go to one of the three region schools, you can expect to spend somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 a year, just depending. And so compare that to what are your goals? And again, that might be the right path for you. But in comparison to like the EICC, which is Scott or Clinton Community or Blackhawk or those community colleges, typically the credit hours are a little less than half between $170 and $190 per credit hour. And so, depending on what courses you're taking or what your goal is or what you're trying to accomplish, is that a better choice for you? Are you still exploring what you want to do, or do you know specifically going into your field? And then other options include starting a certificate program, which could even take less than that. Are you interested in an internship or apprenticeship? Sometimes those are paid to get training to start getting ready for the workplace. Are you interested in the military? All of those are things to start considering and have conversations with your counselors now before just saying, I'm going to college. All right, this is where the counselor meeting with the student is so important. What courses should I enroll in? It's so important to consider what you start taking, and we have on here kind of the do's and don'ts, and we hear this all of the time from kids, but don't enroll in courses because a friend is enrolling in your course. Don't enroll in it because you heard, what did you hear? Mr. Smith's really cool, we go on this neat field trip. It's easy. Those are the kind of reasons not to enroll in the course. Don't enroll into something just because it's a weighted GPA. The weighted GPA is nice in an honors level course, but both your weighted and unweighted GPA show up on the transcript. So it can help you in some ways, but it's not nearly as impactful as you might think. So take the courses that are appropriate, do well in them, and you'll be just fine. Do enroll in courses that are getting you ready for the next level. So as you're going into your senior year, right now starting to think about what do you want to do after graduation? What are you thinking of majoring in? Or are you thinking at the workplace or any of those things? We have a lot of different offerings that can get you started in that direction. Do enroll in courses that if you are going into a certificate or a degree program, maybe you can get some of those credits taken care of through our dual enrollment or academy programs. You enroll in things that you find enriching and meaningful. There's nothing wrong with, most kids will be moving out before too long, a basic cooking class is not a bad thing. And then, what meets your goals and aspirations? You look here, the graduation requirements. Most students are going to be somewhere around 17 and a half to 19 credits at this time at the end of their junior year. It takes 23 credits to graduate from PV. Each semester is a half of credit, so like one full year of English is 1 credit. That's why you need 8 semesters or 4 years of English. You need a minimum of 3 years of math, and we highly recommend 4. Science, you need 3 to 4 years. And why we say 3 to 4 is our graduation requirement is 3 years, but recently the state passed what's called the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS, in which you have to hit all 3 strands of science. So it's possible for a kid, and that's where your counselors will help you, it's possible for a student to take 3 years of science, but only hit 2 of the 3 strands, in which you still are obligated to take that 3rd strand of science, or a 4th year. Social studies, 3 years. You have to take wellness every year, that's a state requirement. Health, freshman year, most students have that taken care of. Career technical credit, 1 semester. An expressive arts or another CTE. Service learning, which is 1 credit over the course of high school, half a credit freshman, sophomore, half a credit junior, senior. You see the electives. Starting next year, and I'm sure there'll be a few questions about it afterwards, you see there's a new graduation requirement called the CCR seminar, or Career College Readiness Seminar. What that is, it'll be 1 quarter, so we're going to kind of graduate people up. So next year's seniors will need 0.125 credits, or 1 quarter of this course. And what that is, it's essentially a lot of the information that we're going to be going over tonight, that we want the kids to learn this earlier. Part of, again, one of the things that we're finding that we think will be very helpful to students is learning more about college and career planning earlier while they're in high school. Things like filling out a FAFSA, interest survey, letters of recommendation, how to look up different colleges online and what requirements they have. All of those things that are going to be valuable skills we think will help students make better decisions. And it's going to be like next year's freshman class will take that all 4 years, so they will have a half a credit of it. And people are asking, it's not going to be for a grade, it's simply for a credit. It's not going to be busy work as far as a lot of homework or anything, it's informative. But we think that experience is going to be very beneficial to kids in making good decisions to plan for the next steps after high school. Okay, those are fun to go. We're talking about different classes to take here at school. When applicable, take advantage of what we have to offer. You saw some of the rates of the amount of how much courses cost to take. We have in our building 26 different dual enrollment courses, and those are run in conjunction with Scott Community College. So it is not uncommon at all to have seniors graduate with a semester or more of their college already taken. So now, there's good and there's not bad, but there's things that you really need to know about those dual enrollment courses. Number 1, it is again for college credit, but do your homework, because depending on where you want to go, the classes may or may not transfer in. So many of the courses, all of our dual enrollment courses transfer to some colleges, but not all. And so make sure that if you're planning on going to a specific university and you decide you want to take speech to get that out of the way, that speech class will transfer. Again, it's doing your homework on the front end and finding out the answer to those questions. The other thing to consider is it's a dual enrollment course. So while all those courses go on Pleasant Valley high school transcript, your student is also generating a college transcript. And so, taking a college course at a young age, maybe not sure if you want to do it or not, getting a little irresponsible, doing poorly in those courses could start you in college on academic probation or having to make up. So it's the Spider-Man analogy I use every year. With great power comes great responsibility. So understand that you are generating a college program. And then we also have 17 different AP courses, or advanced placement. The student must check with your intended college to determine if they accept the AP credits. The AP exams are given in May. students don't have to take the AP exam, but with a dual enrollment course, completion of the course gives you a college credit from Scott Community. An AP course makes you eligible for credit, but you have to take the AP test, and then some colleges have different requirements. So you take the test and you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Some colleges, it may say you need a 5 in order to get the credit. Some take it at a 4, some take it at a 3. And so again, it's knowing what your goals are, where you're going, and doing your homework to find out if you're going to get that credit. And then we talked a little bit about the CTE, career technical programs. So a lot of the certificate programs, and if you look, those are just some, there are others that are available. Those are where they're not a degree, it's a certificate which the student upon completion of these programs is literally ready to start in the workplace at usually a higher level in which without having that experience. Most of those programs are like 15 to 24 credit hours. Some it's possible to complete while still in school, or others graduate in which they only need maybe 1 or 2 classes to get it finished up. So again, there are others that you can look at. Those are some of our bigger ones, and again, it just depends on what your goals are. We talked a little bit about the CCR seminar. Again, it's going to be meaningful academic and post-secondary planning. And it will be a little more individual, where it's going to be a class. Right now, the counselors are trying to meet with every student one-on-one at different times, and each counselor has 300 and some students. And it's just hard to find that time. This will allow them an opportunity to get maybe 15, 20 kids in a class and go over some of this material in a little bit more depth. And again, give the kids a little bit better idea of how to start this process even sooner in their high school lives. Early graduation. I don't know, every year we usually have somewhere between 5 and 10 students who graduate at semester. It's possible to do that. Make sure that if you intend on graduating early, that you meet with your counselor and let them know, because even something as simple as you have to, for next year, you have to make sure you have your 4 years of English or 8 semesters of English after only 7 semesters. You have to have all of those credits out of the way. So if you want to graduate early, your counselor has to make sure that your schedule allows you to meet all the graduation requirements. And then there's some paperwork and everything we have to fill out. The consequences or the ramifications of it: if early graduates still get to participate in our graduation program, then the reason why is that's the graduation ceremony is just that, a ceremony. It really has nothing to do with the official bestowing of a diploma. So it's just it's more symbolic than anything. So we allow kids to do it. But once you have graduated and have your diploma, we no longer have input into your academic careers. In other words, we can't pay for your college classes. We can't put you in programs. We can't give you those resources. You're no longer a student of Pleasant Valley. So, again, make sure that you have everything set up and know exactly what you want to do if you are going to graduate early. Reminders, and again, the counselors will go over the schedules with all of the students. A full-time student per board policy is taking a minimum of 5 classes plus wellness each year. Service learning must be complete. All the graduation requirements must be complete in order to participate in the ceremony, and then your immunization laws and all of those things. And then kind of the timeline we're looking at right now. So over yesterday, today, by tomorrow, all the students should receive their course request sheet. So if they don't have them, they should by the end of the day. So parents, feel free over the weekend to start looking at those course request sheets about what are we going to sign up for next year. We're going to get them to the 100% online students and everything. We'll also be releasing grade-specific videos through eNews and Google Classroom. So to make sure the kids have all their information. the week of from February 18th through 26th, the counselors will be setting up tables and meeting with students during their study halls to collect those course request sheets and go over them, making sure that, number one, the students have signed up for all of the courses they need to meet their graduation requirements, and then number two, to touch base with them about what are you doing, what do you need, what do you want, and making sure that they're taking the right courses or asking questions to help guide the students into the right courses. March 1st through 5th will be the same for our online students. March 12th is when we need all the course request sheets returned to the counselors. And then we have April 1st. This is a big date, and this is the date in which we go from everybody thinking we're nice to everybody thinking we're mean. And what I mean by that is we take those request sheets, and next year's schedule is not built. It will be built once we know what classes students request. And those requests are what drive how many sections of each of the courses that we make. How many people have signed up for AP Physics? How many people have signed up for college writing? All of those. And we use those numbers to assign our teachers. Once those courses are assigned, we don't have hardly any flexibility whatsoever. So if students are coming in, that's where at the beginning of the next year, often in July and August, we get, I don't want to take this class, I want to take this one. It might not be available anymore. And it could be through a variety of reasons. It could be the course is full. We are at its enrollment cap. It could be you're taking, like this year right now, we have macroeconomics, and I'm trying to remember the other course. A student right now is in the same course, but there's one section of it, but they're both 7th hour. So you have to choose which one are you in. We can't move you to a course because the schedule's already been created. And so when we say we can't move students at that time, I know there's some flexibility, but we lose a lot. And I know sometimes it can get frustrating, but that's why it's so important to get your requests and think about what you're signing up for on the front end, because there's not nearly as much as we can do on it once we've received those and made that schedule. So I know that's a lot of information. I'll open it up. Does anybody have any questions?
How is the college career course going to affect especially in the early quarter?
It's going to be opposite students' PE class. So it'll be like one quarter instead of study hall, opposite of PE, it'll be the CCE or CCR. And with seniors, I believe seniors are going to be first quarter to make sure we get all of that taken care of. And again, it's going to be an informative class. It's not a GPA. They're not going to be coming home with piles of homework or anything in it. It's going to be informative. It's to try to help kids. So, what other questions?
Okay, so obviously when our children, collectively, for kindergarten and for how do you suggest we hold our minds and really be responsive to our unique child's gifts and abilities? And like, where do you start? There are students for subject club. So what are the resources for helping our children figure out what kind of information is and how to invest in them and what money we invest in the college savings fund? And what are
Sure. And what I want to say is when we say college, again, I like that whole idea of what's the next step, because all of those, when you look at like college funds, if your student is going to get a certificate, if they're going to take classes, if they're doing all of those 529s, will pay for those things. So there's college, there's university, there's college, there's community college, there are training programs, there are all sorts of those things. And I know the students they've been going and doing interest surveys over the year. We just changed, remind me the name of the Zello, the new program. I know students have done some work on that. It's got a lot of things where you can go through and do like interest surveys and do like deep dives in potential professions, schools, whether they offer these programs or not, in-state, out-of-state. You can look for, if you have a very specific type of thing that you're thinking of going into, you can actually search and give it like a radius of what offers within 50 miles, within 100 miles, within this state and that state. I think the big takeaway with all of this is we want everybody to do something for their transition. But it seems like many of the conversations are just focused to, what are you doing? I'm going to Iowa. Why? Well, I don't know. Don's going too, so I'm going to Iowa. And it's fine to go to Iowa if that's where you want to go. And if you're really still kind of like, no, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that, schedule a meeting with your counselor and sit down and flush some of those out. Because a lot of times those interests, you might think it's very specific, but there are a lot of options or professions that are so closely related. I love art. Well, computer graphic artists can do a lot of, there's so many different options. So it just helps kind of broaden that mind a little bit. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question for you. What's the maximum number of credits a student can earn through dual enrollment? Is there a limit for graduating or is it?
I don't think there's a limit here. It's just based on the student schedule. So we've had kids I know have graduated with 24, 27 credit hours before. And again, the important thing is to remember, we can't guarantee all of those transfer. Many of them do, and the counselors could even go through it with you as far as like, I've taken these, I'm thinking of going here. Okay, this meets this requirement, this meets this requirement. They can help line those up, but you can get a lot of that information. And you have to get those. I think most colleges or universities have their transfer credit policies on their websites too. Questions? Yep. For this year's juniors right now, nothing has been changed. So there was an announcement that came out that was premature and a correction was issued just a few days later. It's still at the 40 hours. I don't think we have any seniors or many seniors still looking at freshman, sophomore hours. If so, right now that total is 70. But what I will say is, we just started this week a new service learning coordinator, Christina Myatt. She right now is working on getting all the hours that students have been doing updated and getting a quote unquote state of the union. And she's also working with local businesses and organizations and finding out what opportunities are available or not. So what I would say is, as of right now, nothing has officially changed. Mrs. Myatt is going through and getting what opportunities exist and what's fair to students, knowing that the last year has been very trying for kids to get hours. And then we're going to put a plan together and meet with the school board. But ultimately, it's the school board who would decide whether or not we could reduce hours. What changed was last year's seniors had their hours reduced, and then last year's sophomores, so this year's juniors had their hours reduced as well, cut in half. So juniors, you only had to get 15 of your 30 to get your freshman, sophomore service learning. So, and that should be on your transcript, you can check that. So the freshman, sophomore service learning, I believe you had to get 15 if I remember right. But then you can check that, you can email Ms. Myatt and get your update on that. So yes, that was reduced, the freshman, sophomore. But the graduation, I believe, is still 40 at this point.
Didn't I read that you have all one place now?
Yeah, what we've done, I know this has already been approved due to COVID and knowing again, some of the limitations of places and all of that, that we've loosened the boundaries. It used to be to get your junior, senior, you had to pick 1 or 2 projects, and we've taken that away so you can get multiple hours at multiple different places, much in the same way as your freshman, sophomore. We've also opened up the organizations that you can receive them through. It used to be you could only get them through nonprofits, but so we've loosened that into you can get it from some for-profit businesses, as long as it's a conversation with Mrs. Myatt, as long as you're doing something more non-profit-y, I guess, for lack of a better word. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, many of the nursing home or adult care facilities are for-profits, but we've had kids who are making decorations for windows or tables for seniors, or maybe making like blankets or something. And though it's a for-profit business, we're saying that really constitutes the spirit of what service learning was intended for. So it has loosened that way. If you have any questions, again, her name is Christina Myatt, or you can email administration and we'll get it to her and get your questions answered. Any other questions? Sure. Oh, I forgot.
For the senior that doesn't want to go with all 3 next year, they just take their course classes or they have a whole day of
Our board policy is 5 classes plus PE. So we really encourage that with students. The only way that we really look outside of that box is if there's an extenuating circumstance. And again, it kind of depends on how many credits you have, and we'll also take into consideration what is the transition plan. If the student is, I have an apprenticeship lined up through this and I'm starting my work or something, would we be a little bit more open? We'd be open to the conversation. I'll say our board policy is what it is, and that's, we think we have a lot to offer, and even if you've met your graduation requirements, say, of 3 years of math, that fourth year of math is often going to benefit you at your next level, but every circumstance could be a little bit different. Other questions?
What are your best emotional support and mental health resources?
Oh, that's a great question. And I would say often we used to have here at the high school a Vera French counselor or Vera French therapist, not necessarily associated with Pleasant Valley. We were a satellite office, and there have been a lot of changes in the funding and everything with that. So unfortunately, we don't have that right now, but I know the district is working very hard at trying to get, we would like to, whether it's Vera French or another organization, to get a therapist in-house here. I would also say probably the place to start would be start with your counselor, and whether it depends on the level of severity of it. Is it your student needs a check-in every now and then, and there's something on that order, then I think the counselors are happy to participate in that or help. And we have teachers who do things on that order. If it's something a little bit more significant, we can help get students the resources that they need. It may not be in-house, it may be a combination of the two, but no, that's...
You're saying it's safe for them.
Oh, please, yes. No, I think our counselors would be the first to say that's one of the, probably I would say a frustration of all of us is we'd love to have more time to get in and talk to kids. It's so hard to get kids to open up. With the stress and I mean, frankly, with COVID and everything over this last year, I think everybody at some point or another has had some highs or lows, some depression, some isolation, and all of those things. We completely understand that, and adults have had it as well. So we can't encourage kids enough to reach out and let people know. We've had students who, through our P3 app, have submitted things to check in. I'm really worried about my friend, and we'll follow up with them that way. So yes, please encourage them to reach out.
Part of this PCR seminar is also to cover some of the social emotional behavioral standards from the counselors. So we will
Did everyone hear that? What she was talking about is part of the CCR seminar next year. We'll be covering social emotional standards and talking about a lot of those triggers that cause some of the problems with kids, time management, organizational skills, and those. So again, we're hoping a little bit of information on the front end saves a lot of time and energy and pain on the back. Other questions? Yes.
What I want to know is that when you find out that there is a assumption that you can look at the basic requirements and because you get some associate degree and things like that, and some transfer and some not transfer. So what I was looking at was
Yes, a lot of our dual enrollment courses will meet they're more the kind of the gen ed prerequisites.
Right.
Like our sociology, psychology, a lot of those meet some of those basic things. So I guess the offerings that we have are available in our course handbook. And they'll be, I know our counselors will be posting it. It'll be on the course sheet that all the students have received. And how to tell if it's a dual enrollment course. It'll have a college prefix at the beginning of it. It'll be 3 letters followed by 3 numbers, like PSY 210 or 110 or whatever will be our psychology. So that's how you'll know if it's a dual enrollment course. What the prerequisites are also listed in that course handbook. Or again, if you're not sure, that'll be the meeting with the counselors, with the kids if they want to take it. Like for example, psychology, students have to have taken college writing. We've tried to embed as many of the prerequisites into our course flow. And so, like, the English flow is, you take English 9 as a freshman, English 10 as a sophomore, and then 85-90% of our students take American literature and college writing as a junior. Well, that's the prerequisite for, like, the psych and soc, which are typically senior level courses. Now, some students might take AP Lang, which that meets it because we have the college writing standards embedded into the AP Lang course. So we try to, through just the standard course projection, a freshman can't take the psychology, but that's why it'll typically be, there have been some juniors, but it's more a senior heavy course. So the big thing is ask your counselors. The prerequisites will be listed, I think, on the sheet, but in the course handbook as well. Hope that helps. Any other questions? If you have any questions between now and as you start to fill out that course sheet, let us know, come in and talk. But parents, sit down with your student and look at those course requests and have those conversations right now. I know the counselors are going to meet with each student individually. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to be registering 1,600 students for next year. So it's hard to have multiple meetings over and over. So the more work that you can sit down and get with your student and get them in the best shape you can. So knowing what that course request sheet, when they sit down with the counselor, that you're comfortable, your student's comfortable. And if there are questions, let them know and they'll help walk you through what's going to set your student up to be successful next year and beyond. So once again, thank you all for coming tonight, braving the cold. Please let us know if you have any questions, concerns. Have a great night.